I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw, I didn't want to put him down early. You all know I was handcuffed. I don't want to say anything that I will be regretting in the future. But all I can say now is the first 20 seconds was enough for me to end Jake Paul.
I don't know if enough has been made of the fact that, I mean, it was absolutely devastating. But the fact that he had awareness immediately to go like he looked at the crowd like, oh shit. Like, wow.
It wasn't like, I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then eventually just deal with the fact that Anthony Joshua is going to connect with a bomb.
Yeah.
And breaks his jaw in 2 places.
Yeah.
Jake has spirit. He has some heart. He tried his best. And I take my hat off to him because, number one, a lot of fighters haven't got in the ring with me and Jake did. And secondly, even when he got knocked down, he kept on trying to get up. And I take my hat off to him.
Take a step back and really analyze this whole situation and you'll notice something feels off about the entire thing. That's exactly when your mind starts connecting dots that maybe shouldn't be connected.
Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasized, listen guys, take this as long as you can?
So the bottom line is you take nothing from this. It was an entertainment product designed to get Netflix
But last week you said it wasn't scripted.
I think that ultimately Anthony Joshua's approach to it was what I said at the beginning. What I said was,
now you're telling us Netflix passed on a message, guys.
I'm saying that Netflix's modus operandi is to operate with this kind of principle, which is stretch the entertainment. Anthony Joshua goes in. I framed the question to these boys that have been in the ring. Could he go in there on an under-aroused mindset because he knows what he's dealing with? No. He goes in as a killer. He went in there with a mindset, knowing what he was dealing with, and took his time and had no reason to do anything other than get him out of there when he felt like it.
The small details start jumping out at you first. Jake's got this tongue thing he pulled during the Tyson bout, and boom, he's doing it again right here. Now everyone's sitting there thinking, wait a minute, is this just his trademark celebration or is someone feeding him cues from ringside? That's exactly how these whispers begin that the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua matchup might have had some predetermined choreography behind it.
People will criticize you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Why? Come on.
Because, like, we're elite fighters. Like, so I put myself in the shoes of a coach. If I was coaching Anthony Joshua and he went 6 rounds with Jake Paul, I would get him back in the gym tomorrow, give him a bit of a beating, and we're getting straight back to work because I'll be like, how are you letting this kid take you 6 rounds? Are you crazy? But I can't go back in time.
Here's the thing, Netflix isn't in the business of quick stories. Their whole model revolves around multi-episode drama, slow-building tension character development, and those moments that make you wonder what happens next. The speculation suggests Netflix was hoping for extended action back and forth momentum, strategic breaks, and theatrical punching exchanges, not some 30-second highlight that ends before the opening credits finish rolling.
Slipped out the ring with the cornerman, slipped out the ring and he thought, wow, this is for real. And even a little jab that just gently missed him, you could see him thinking, what is this about? So it was a case of survival. And to me, I didn't want Anthony Joshua to knock him out, if I'm honest with you. I thought, you've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I was shattered. You know, this guy, everything I thought I could do, I couldn't do. Boxing looks so easy on the TV. Boxing looks so, matter of fact, no big deal. Until you get punched. And then reality kicks in. And Jake Paul, he has done a brilliant job of promoting himself.
Look, that approach might have clicked before because let's face it, Tyson seemed like he was following some kind of roadmap, but Joshua? Completely different animal. This guy doesn't think about streaming numbers or binge-watching culture. AJ shows up, handles his business, and goes home. So if anyone handed him a predetermined storyline, Joshua probably glanced at it, said thanks very much, and tossed it straight into the trash. The second AJ switched from cautious movement to serious offense, the entire Netflix production plan got scrapped. No extended finale, no building drama, just a sharp right cross, and Jake's chin decided to take an unplanned trip toward the canvas.
Alright, so we're here at the after party. I have to be honest, the vibes are way more chill than I thought. He's doing great. How are you feeling?
Never been better.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing it.
Bring out the vodka.
Yeah, we're doing great in here. A double break in his lower jaw.
Oh, you can show.
Here, look.
Science.
So science is right there and there. The way I see it, well, you'll be back in a couple weeks getting ready to fight Canelo.
Canelo in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So Canelo, get ready. We're coming for you in 2 weeks. So.
The most ridiculous part about this conspiracy thinking is that boxing apparently never received the message. Elite heavyweights don't practice choreographed sequences. One fighter showed up trying to perform while the other brought legitimate knockout power, and Netflix discovered what the rest of us already knew. You can outline your episodes all you want, but once that opening bell ends, the sport takes over and writes whatever ending it chooses.
Jake Paul got knocked out by Anthony Joshua this past Friday night, and so I want to break this down from a medical perspective. I'm a neurosurgeon with over 25 years of experience, and so, you know, what happens is when you get hit in the head with that kind of force, like in boxing, our brain actually moves inside our skull, and it can bump into the skull, which is a firm structure, and cause bruising of the brain, even bleeding, but it causes repeated trauma to the brain. And over years and years of this happening, people can get what's called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE syndrome. And it's almost like a disease, because with repeated trauma to the brain, and that can lead to memory problems, mood swings, even trouble with movements, and eventually people can develop dementia, like Alzheimer's disease and even Parkinson's disease.
Then, after all the speculation about predetermined outcomes, tongue signal theories, and Netflix episode planning, Eddie Hearn appears talking like the only person who actually studied the contract and brought professional insight. Listening to him made me think finally someone's bringing rational perspective to this whole circus. Eddie's message is basically everyone needs to relax. AJ wasn't hunting for viral moments, he was executing professional level boxing strategy. He admits openly, sure, we figured Joshua might finish him faster, but those additional rounds weren't part of some elaborate conspiracy, they were valuable experience, and AJ collected them without losing his composure.
Desperate to get him out of there, he was just like, okay, this is how it's gonna be, I'll just cut him off eventually. I'll beat him up and I'll break him down. What he said he would do is he would break him down and he would, well, finish him in boxing. And he's probably done both of those. I mean, he definitely did the first part. But the injury is a shocker, and it's not one that you can necessarily bounce back from. Like, I know that at the moment it's like, but especially when you're not, well, you got lots of other stuff in your life as well, you know? So, but I think Jake Paul deserves a huge amount of respect because he did it in the first place. And he landed some shots.
What I appreciate about Eddie's take is his honest assessment of Jake, because he's not hyping him up for social media engagement, he's just being objective. Jake moved around the ring, Jake lasted longer than expected, Jake connected with a few solid right hands, and AJ absorbed them like they were warm-up shots. When Eddie dismisses the Jake hurt AJ narrative, that's experienced promoter sarcasm at its absolute best. Like, sure, maybe AJ repositioned his stance, maybe he reset his guard, but seriously hurt, come on now. Eddie's real point lands when he asks what exactly did people expect Jake to do, just stand there and volunteer to become a knockout highlight. This wasn't about courage versus fear, this was about survival instincts meeting heavyweight physics.
I'm sure if they won rounds, MVP would have gone, look! Yeah, but yeah, so I don't believe he won any rounds on the scorecards, but listen, maybe he did, I don't know. But he definitely didn't wobble AJ, but he did land. He landed his biggest shots. Yeah. With a couple of, you know, like right hands from the gods, but he's just not big enough. He doesn't punch hard enough to you know, I'm sure it got his attention, but he certainly wasn't wobbled. But he did really well. And by the way, people moaning, like I think it was Sergio Mora. Who, listen, I love Sergio, but he's like, he's a disgrace, like he ran. It's like, mate, what? Yeah. Like, he also held his feet and threw. He didn't not throw any punches.
The best part is, Eddie actually apologizing for appearing too confident, which is funny because AJ winning wasn't even the controversial part people are complaining about. The real issue is that it didn't end quickly enough to satisfy anyone's expectation. Eddie wraps it up. Without trying to dominate the conversation, Jake deserves credit for stepping into that ring. AJ deserves credit for staying disciplined, and the internet gets another week of debating rounds that nobody really controlled. That's boxing in 2025, chaotic, noisy, overly dramatic, and somehow we're all still completely hooked.
But whatever, like, I give Jake I've said in every interview, full respect to Jake Paul. And you know, I think what he done was admirable. So I would like to apologise to Mrs. Paul. I didn't intentionally look smug. I wasn't. I couldn't have been smug because it didn't play out like I thought it was going to play out. I thought we were just going to flatline him in a couple of rounds. So there's nothing to be smug about, but we won, and you know.
Right after Eddie Hearn delivers that steady businessman with a stopwatch vibe, Antonio Tarver walks in like the seasoned veteran who's witnessed every variation of this story and can predict exactly how it concludes. Listening to Tarver got me agreeing because he's not insulting Jake, but he's definitely not sugarcoating reality either. He acknowledges Jake's survival skills, his ring awareness, his movement, his ability to land some clean connections, and then immediately points out that thinking and surviving don't automatically translate into victory.
So, you know, even though he wasn't as effective as he probably wanted to be, and I knew there was a distance between experience, and that's just what we saw tonight.
How long do you think it would take for Jake Paul to spend in a boxing gym to overcome that experience that he didn't have tonight? How long would he need to train?
I don't know. He probably got to still keep picking his opponents, getting better, stay in the gym. But like I said, bro, when I looked at tonight, AJ was a huge fight. But if they want to really shoot a movie, bro, it's Antonio Tarver and Jake Paul, and I know the whole world knows that, bro.
When Tarver explains you can't just keep running indefinitely, that statement resonates because it's fundamental boxing truth, not personal opinion. You can purchase time, you can steal rounds, but eventually the ring gets smaller and experience demands payment. I love his breakdown of AJ too because he doesn't let anyone pretend this required Fury level preparation intensity. This was a seasoned professional managing business against an opponent who wouldn't let him establish rhythm. Tarver's criticism of that single punch hunting approach is absolutely accurate because once that one big right hand became the entire strategy instead of just one tool, the limitations became obvious.
Strategically moving, and he didn't let AJ set up, but you can only do that for a certain amount of time. You got to mix it up. You know, you just can't run. You know what I mean? You got to have another type of strategy. I thought he was trying to set AJ up to come in a little reckless, where he was trying to load up with that one right hand that he caught Woodley with a few years back. But that looked like the only shot he was trying to land. He did land an uppercut, I think about the 4th round. But other than that, I don't think his offense was effective.
The most interesting part is Tarver essentially saying, look, if you want a real blockbuster fight, we all know exactly what matchup that would be. And if Jake can't progress beyond this current level, then it's time for some realistic discussions. No disrespect, no mockery, just mature boxing analysis. That's what makes this assessment different. Tarver isn't shouting, he's providing diagnosis. He's explaining that Jake showed improvement, AJ maintained discipline, and the gap you witnessed wasn't about effort, it was about accumulated experience. You can acknowledge the hard work, celebrate the persistence, and still accept reality. You can't outrun the truth forever, especially when that truth punches back with Olympic credentials and heavyweight precision.
But Jake Paul showed a lot of advancement tonight to even be in there that long and last that long with a 2-time heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist. Yeah, he was smart about the way he went about it. So, you know, even though he wasn't as effective as he probably wanted to be, and I knew there was a distance between experience, and that's just what we saw tonight.
Then, after Antonio Tarver breaks it down like a retired professor of harsh realities, Frank Warren enters the conversation sounding like someone who's been managing this sport so long he doesn't even need preparation anymore. Listening to Frank made me think this is that composed, surgical honesty that only develops after decades of watching promotional hype collide with actual results. He's not getting emotional, he's not raising his voice, he's just casually explaining why a bigger man with extensive experience eventually defeats a smaller opponent with determination every single time, and what's amusing is how relaxed his delivery is. Like, yeah, it lasted longer than I anticipated, but did anyone seriously think the outcome would be different? That's vintage Warren approach. He compliments Jake for showing courage, being strategically smart early, connecting with several shots, even winning some rounds, and then politely reminds everyone that courage doesn't magically transform into size, experience, or advanced ring intelligence overnight. When Frank discusses AJ not rushing and Jake being unable to push him backward, that's the entire fight summarized without any dramatic emphasis. It's like watching a chess master explain why your creative opening sequence still results in checkmate.
It went on longer than I thought it'd go on, but the result is what I thought it would be, because it's just a big guy in with a smaller guy, and Jake Paul, who's very brave. I thought he'd done the best he could do under the circumstances. He's never a fight I felt he could win unless he caught AJ, and I felt that'd be, if he did, he might have a bit of a chance. But that was a big ask. And at the end of the day, AJ clipped him, did what he had to do, and the size difference, the experience, everything showed on the night.
This gets even more fascinating because Warren isn't just analyzing this particular fight, he's discussing long-term limitations. I found myself nodding along because when he states Jake has heart but lacks experience, that's not hatred, that's honest evaluation. You can sense the promoter perspective activating when he compares professional records, weight divisions, and what genuine championship level pressure actually involves. I had to laugh when he basically said, sure, people enjoy discussing title belts, but go examine who's actually competing in those divisions. Ready to hit back. Frank's entire tone suggests you can't fast-track boxing success the way you consume a Netflix series, regardless of how impressive the preview looks. When he challenges reckless talk about seriously hurting people, that's the old-school voice reminding everyone this isn't dress-up entertainment, it's a dangerous sport with legitimate consequences. Combining Tarver's fighter wisdom with Warren's promotional realism leaves you with one unmistakable conclusion: ambition is admirable, courage is respectable, but boxing doesn't adjust timelines for anyone. You don't skip lessons, you don't avoid damage, and you definitely don't bypass the stage where experience arrives asking if you're genuinely prepared.
Although I thought Jake, a couple of times when he got behind his jab, his movement, he had a bit of head movement early on before he was tiring. His jab, he caught him a couple of times, nearly threw a good uppercut, and I thought he nicked the fourth round, which surprised me.
Yeah, as a boxing man through and through, a lot of conversation surrounded AJ and the amount of time he should allow Jake Paul to be in the ring with him. It went 6. Was that too many rounds for someone of the caliber of Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul?
Yeah, I mean, you expect the big man to jumped on him and done what he had to do.
Stepping back to see the complete picture, everything becomes much clearer. This fight wasn't designed to expose Jake Paul as fake or establish Anthony Joshua as something revolutionary. It was boxing demonstrating just how unforgiving the competitive ladder truly becomes. We witnessed spectacle and counter structure, hype meet discipline, and ambition crash directly into years of professional development. Jake demonstrated he deserves serious consideration, that he's more resilient, intelligent, and durable than many critics acknowledge. But AJ demonstrated something equally significant at elite levels. Patience conquers chaos, fundamentals defeat individual moments, and eventually the ring stops caring about storylines. Tarver provided the competitor's perspective, Warren delivered the business reality, Eddie offered the promotional logic, and somewhere between all that analysis, the sport quietly regained control. No predetermined scripts, no convenient shortcuts, just pure competitive level.
When you're fighting AJ, you've got to push AJ on the back foot. You negate a lot of what he does by pushing him on the back foot. And unfortunately, Jake was just not strong enough or big enough to do that. And, he hasn't got the experience. Not being disrespectful, you look at his resume and you look at the guys he's fought. I mean, come on. AJ's been mixing with the best in the world for quite a few years now.
So what's your take? Was this smart survival tactics from Jake or evidence that he's finally hit his competitive ceiling? Did AJ execute perfectly, or did he create new questions by allowing it to continue that long? Share your analysis in the comments, debate the details, break down your thoughts. Keep the discussion respectful, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. Catch you next time.